Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. In this episode of Film Thoughts, I want to talk about Bergger's Pancro 400, an ISO 400 black and white film that I got curious about after I watched T. Hopper's video on this film. By the way, if you don't know T. Hopper or you don't follow her here on YouTube, I will leave a link in the description below. You should definitely go and check out that channel after this video. There's amazing content about film photography, what we can learn from film, and about photography in general. In this video, I want to share my thoughts on the film, the hopes that I had after I saw her video, and I did a little bit more research on the film. So let's find out if they were met. Before I show you some of the shots that I took on this film and the edits that I made, let's take a look at Bergger's website and what they say about this film. Bergger says on their website that Pancro 400 is a 2-emulsion film composed with silver bromide and silver iodide. They differ by the size of their grain. These properties allow a wide exposure latitude. Crystals are precipitated by double jet process under the control of a computer. The 2 emulsions are panchromatic and are stabilized by high-tech systems. Processed in every developer, Bergger Pancro 400 exhibits outstanding results in terms of grain size, detail rendition, and grayscale. Wow, that sounds very high-tech and promising. Let's now first take a look at a couple of shots that I took totally unedited and straight out of the scanner. So what I could see immediately after I saw these scans is that this film is totally flat. And this flatness of the film was exactly what I was hoping for, because if a film is flat, for me at least, that means that I have a lot of freedom to do stuff in post-processing. For me, taking a photo doesn't end with composing the shot and triggering the shutter button and that's it, but the post-processing is equally important for me. And that means also the development in scanning for analog films or the raw processing of digital. Now, in this specific case, the flatness was totally ideal, and I will show you in a second a couple of edits that I did to these photos and later show you a little bit more of a comparison between the edit and the naked scan. Now, what I must say, I developed this film according to the development charts on the Bergger website, and I developed it in Kodak's HC110. So they say that it is processed well in every developer, and we will talk a little bit more about what I think about the development and the timings or the development times that they have on their website compared to what I later found out on the web about this film. But at first I want to show you the same photos you just saw, but edited. What I can definitely say after editing the photos is that I could edit them to my liking. What I didn't like too much was the latitude that the film exposed. Especially in the shadows. I think the shadows lost a lot of details, and what I was also not too impressed by, especially because Pancro was claiming so, is the grain structure. For me, at least under the development times that Pancro had on their website, and I followed them precisely with Kodak's HC110, I think the grain structure was definitely not fine. Let's take a look at the grain that I found. As you can see here in this first shot, the grain for me is very pronounced, especially in these grays, and I didn't really like it. It was not at all soft and not at all fine. Here in the second shot, I think it doesn't disturb too much because there is so much stuff going on, especially with the trees and the tiles on the house. But if you look at the color of the walls of the house, again, you can see this very, in my opinion, harsh grain. And in this third shot, if we look at the same photo but look at the sky, we see a very, very rough grain. It almost reminds me of sand. After having seen this grain structure and not really being pleased with the grain structure and the amount of grain, I did a lot more research on the web what potentially might have gone wrong with my development, because I kept the development times exactly as Bergger claimed on their website. And many people on the forum said that they developed the film 30 seconds less than Bergger claims on their website. So definitely, if I will shoot this film the next time, I will try that out. But if you want to keep the development times as Bergger shows them on the website and you are into grain, I guess this is what you get if you develop in Kodak's HC110. I personally don't really like that, but again, if I try it out the next time, I don't know when that will be, I will definitely tweak the development process a little bit. Let me now show you my unedited or some unedited and edited photos next to each other so that you can see how the raw material looks like and what I did in my edits. In this first photo, I brought down the shadows a lot and increased the contrast a little bit to bring it more to my liking, especially because the shadows were not so nice, or I was not pleased how the film renders the shadows. So, but I'm quite happy with the result that I achieved on the right side. In this next shot, I am quite torn between the original flat one that barely has any black but more different tones of gray, and the edited photo which gives it a little bit more contrast and makes it a little bit more dynamic. But in my opinion, both of these photos are absolutely valid and I like them both, other than the grain structure that you saw earlier in the zoom in here. Here in this third shot, I barely did any edits because I was actually quite pleased with the film, how it came straight out of the scanner. I also raised a little bit the contrast, brought the shadows down again because I didn't like the shadows of this film. But also here I think both results are quite good. You don't really have to edit the film if you don't want to bring up the contrasts. These are my first impressions of Bergger Pancro 400. I definitely learned a lot about this film by developing and scanning it myself and having had the time to deal with the raw matter, with the negatives, scanning them, looking very closely at them and finding out what I can do with the film. I hope you learned something too. I'm planning on continuing this series of film thoughts, and the next two episodes that I'm planning are about Lomochrome Metropolis, a very interesting color film from Lomography, and Farania's P30. If you are interested in these types of videos, please consider subscribing to this channel to stay up to date. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.